I like RWBY, and I also like D&D, but they go together about as well as cereal and orange juice, whereas Runequest goes with RWBY like cereal on milk. But I've already made a video on that, and if you're one of the many people who watched that video, then you're probably thinking about making your own super cool OC. But then you mistook the character sheet for an MC Escher painting, then ran to hide behind your Blake body pillow. However, the truth is, if you can read a table, then you can make a character in RQ2. But maybe I'm asking a bit too much. So I'll be holding your hand through this big scary page of numbers, so you don't whine like a little bitch. Now sit down, grab the closest calculator and/or nerd, and let's make some mother-flapping characters. Starting on a roll, is your characteristics, which determine how strong, fast, smart, and sexy you are. Strength determines how much you lift at the gym and how big your whacks are. Constitution determines how sturdy you are and how many shots of dwarven snake venom you can down before collapsing in a heap. Size determines how big you are, and by big we mean tall. This is used to determine if you can fit into that small box on the barbarian's back, and which of your friends can fit into the smallest cupboard. It also affects hit points and speed. Intelligence is just what it sounds like. It's how big brain you are. If you say it's what Monty would or wouldn't have wanted on Twitter, then you probably lack this trait. Power is the strength of your will, though it would be more accurate to say the strength of your soul or spirit. Anime protagonists ooze this stat like a rain gutter. This stat determines how magical you are, and your potential as a spellcaster. Dexterity is how agile and coordinated you are. If you're clumsy and walk into poles, then you probably have low dex, but if you're riding down stairs on a shield whilst quickscoping orcs, then you have high dex. Lastly, charisma is how overall persuasive or intimidating you are. From public speaking to busking on the bridge, charisma deals with anything involving communication and expression. To determine your characteristics, you have to get 3 of the square dice. If you can count to 3, good job, you're doing great so far. Roll them, add them, put them in a stew, and you have your strength stat. Repeat this 4 times to get your con, power, dex, and charisma. To calculate your size and intelligence, roll 2 of the square dice and add 6. Damn, things got a little complex there. And that's your character's characteristics. You can roll them in order or assign them after the fact. Well, if you're a coward, that is. Attributes are the things next to your characteristics. Your attributes are derived from your characteristics. In baby language, this number comes from this number. Action points is the number of actions your character can take in one round. To know how many you have, add your int and dex together, then look at this table. To read a table, you sacrifice a newborn lamb, draw a dodecahedron, and then ask anyone who passed grade school to teach you. Damage modifier modifies your damage, adding a dice to or from your melee attack damage based on your strength and size. Calculated with a simple form, it's a table. Read the table. Experience modifier gives you more or less experience points after you have a nap, based on your charisma, also a table. Movement, it spells it out for you. You start with 6 meters, easy. Ignore dedicated power, you don't need that yet. Magic points, for those who have never played a game with any magic, is the amount of magical energy you can expend for needing to rest. It's an MP bar equal to your power. Leave me alone. Strike rank is your initiative. It determines when you get your turn in combat. In most games, your hit points is a number which represents how alive you are. Once you hit 0, you're in trouble. In this game, your hit points are split between several hit locations: your head, your chest, abdomen, legs, and arms. Like in other games, once these numbers hit 0, it's not good, and when it goes into the negative, you'll be lucky to still have the limb. Add together your strength and con, then look at another table. It'll tell you how many hit points each of your limbs has. Damn, so many tables. Well, buckle up, kiddo, there's more. Culture replaces what would usually be your race in any other game. Instead of focusing on the physical attributes of your character's race, this focuses on the society your character grew up in. Civilized is more how these people see themselves in comparison to everyone else in the world, like me. Civilized people grew up in some large town or city like Rome or Florence, and everyone from the urchins to the nobles count among this culture. Barbarians are almost everyone who doesn't live in a city but live in farming and fishing communities in the wilds of nature. You shun the big cities and their governments taking up plow and axe to fight for yourself and your survival. This includes Vikings and bandits, as well as farmers and fishermen. Nomads are herders, gypsies, and anyone who never stays in one place to survive, following animal migrations, trade routes, or even a traveling circus. Last are primitives, who are seen as little more than animals from the rest of society, though as the book says, this is mostly prejudice. Primitives are people who don't have access to the technology and luxury of the time, and have had to find other ways to compensate for this inadequacy and survive. If you're struggling with this, then here is a guide to how you can define the cultures in RWBY. If you're from any of the major cities, you're civilized. If you grew up outside the city walls and in any kind of static community, you're a barbarian. If you're a nomad, then that should be self-explanatory. And if you're from Menagerie, then you're a primitive, because everyone looks down on you and you lack the technology and resources that other peoples have easy access to. Your profession is what you were before you were a hunter and does not restrict what skills and abilities you can gain later in the game. You can find a list of potential professions in R2's core rulebook, page 16. Next to the profession will be a list of skill bonuses and options you gain from choosing that profession. For the sake of the RWBY setting, avoid anything with spirit magic. There are 4 types of skills. Common skills everyone is born with, advanced skills you gain access to through training and experience, magical skills which are about magical things, and weapon skills gained through martial training. Each common skill has a combination of characteristics which determines your base skill level. In the column next to it is where you put your skill ranking if and when you choose to increase it. If you're struggling, grab that calculator and or nerd you brought along to help you get your basic skill ranks done. To the right of your common skills is 2 sections where you can list your advanced skills, magical skills, and combat skills. In this column you put what skills you have. Here you put that skill's basic ranking, which you can get by again mixing 2 of these numbers listed next to the skill in the skills section of the book. And again in the column adjacent you can put your modified skill rank. The last thing you need to do is allocate 250 points among your skills. 1 point is worth a +1 to a skill. It costs 10 points to get an advanced skill. You can only upgrade your skill. 2 points.
What?
If this is a little overwhelming for your little human mind, then just follow this easy guide. Choose 3 common skills to add 30 to, then choose 2 common skills to add 20 to. Next, choose 2 advanced skills you own and add 20 to them, and then choose 2 advanced skills you don't own and add 20 to them. With the remaining 20 points, you will buy 2 advanced skills for your semblance. This will make you pretty good at all the things you want your character to be good at. All that is left is for you to take the items you get from your culture and roll for how much money you start with. And that's it! You and your character are now ready to go out on your adventure.